Allora, invito a venire qua Silvia, Giada, Marusia, a cui facciamo un bel applauso. E faccio una domanda di servizio così c'è qualcuna in sala che ha bisogno della traduzione dall'inglese? No. Quindi noi parleremo in inglese. Marusia ha detto che si impegnerà a parlare un inglese molto lento, quindi ecco, non ci sarà traduzione. Poi se qualcuno non capisce qualcosa, alza la mano tranquillamente e noi possiamo tradurre. Um, okay, I will start with a question. And I want to ask you, how did you decide to start editing this amount of material and why?
Well, I really wanted to make a film about Kimi to honor him in some way, and 2 years after he passed away, I was finally able to take a look at all my archives because before it was painful, so it took me 2 years, and I saw that somewhere there is a film, and I need to start working on it. So it was the end of 2018.
Um, I have another question linked to the one that made him. This film is a love letter and a tribute, as you were saying before. And how did you emotionally protect yourself from watching this footage again and again and talking about it and touring in Europe, talking about Kimi and you? Is there a way to protect yourself?
It was difficult to, look through the footage while editing, especially for many, many, many times. But then at some point, also because I'm one of the characters, so at some point I felt like I got this distance because I was into it a lot and I was looking through it, thinking about how to tell the story. So yeah, eventually I got this distance, but it wasn't easy. But on another hand, it was this very long goodbyes. I was not saying goodbye to Kimi. I was like um, taking my time in a way. So this also was therapeutic, I would say.
Uh, well, you filmed almost continuously a relationship that lasts 12 years, which is a very long time. And what role did the camera have in your daily life and in your relationship? I was thinking, how did you feel its presence? It was a filter, a magnifying glass, a third wheel.
I was very depressed as a teenager and I didn't know about it, but I think this is why I was filming so much. I was hiding behind the camera. I was like shielding from the reality, and the camera was always there. I was filming Kimi, our friends, parties, concerts. So yeah, eventually, I don't know. I think eventually everybody got used to me having a camera, and I got used to it. So no one like really felt stressed about it anymore. Yeah.
But towards the end of the film, you say that Kimi sometimes seemed to be talking to the camera. How do you remember that phase of your relationship and the movie? Because I'm sorry, your relationship is very linked to the documentary, so I will talk about it in this very weird way.
Yeah, it's okay. Um, well, like on this particular scene in the film, I felt like he was very much in self-pitying himself, and I was very upset about it because if- I thought it was this position when you just give up. You don't want to change anything. You don't want to get help. You just say, oh, okay, like it's for my sins. This is gonna be forever. I don't deserve a better life, which I think is very linked to self-stigmatization of people who do drugs, especially in Russia, where drug use is so stigmatized that people start to think that because they do drugs, they are not worth having a better life. And of course, it stands in a way of getting help, thinking about the future, and I was very upset when Kimi were saying something like this. So, yeah.
We were talking about mental health before while we were drinking a beer in the bar. And how do you think that the way Russia sees and yes, and represents mental health issues influence the way a lot of people are struggling with drugs and with addiction? Is there a link?
Yes, it's yeah, I mean, I think drugs and alcohol is this it's not a reason, it's a result of trauma, mental health issues. It's this comforting thing that makes you feel a bit better. And in a lot of cases, it's more accessible than mental health professionals, psychotherapy, or like it's easier to get drugs than to get help for mental health, unfortunately. That's why it's, yeah, there's a big problem of, people with problematic drug use and suffering also from trauma and mental health issues.
Ok. Allora, scusate, faccio un altro paio di domande che ho delle curiosità da togliermi con Mario, se poi vi passo il microfono. Talking about drugs, watching this documentary, I was thinking about a thing. Well, Kimmy's Born Sleepy tattoo pays homage to the toxic film par excellence that is Trainspotting. But in Italy we have a great traditions of films between cinema and documentary that show drug addiction without filters through non-professional sectors, like Toxic Love by Claudio Caligari, or The Emperor of Rome by Nico d'Alessandria, or the story of Filomena and Antonio by Antonello Branca, films that I love. And all films born from another Italian cinematic tradition that is neorealism. And so, have you ever seen them? And in general, which films inspired you the most?
I have to say I haven't seen them,
Oh,
but then I'm
tell
gonna
me.
ask you. I'm gonna ask you once more the titles. Uh, since this is a story of us growing up, also, I wanted to, to pay tribute to all the music, films, artists who inspired and formed us. And we used to watch, yes, Trainspotting and films of Harmony Korine, 𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐵𝐿, and Gregor Araki. He has this trilogy called Teenage Apocalypse. And yeah, my favorite film was, for a long time, it was Nowhere. I think it was the film that got me into like filmmaking, or like not really, but it was the film that inspired me greatly. And I was surprised. I was like, you can shoot films like this? How? So yes, we were really into photographer David LaChapelle, and lots of music, post-punk and witch house, and a lot of music you hear in the film. So yeah, it was my way of yeah, it was like a shout out to all of these artists who formed us in a way.
Well, talking about inspirations, well, like you, I am a millennial, and I was a punk teenager. Nirvana was my favorite band. I played the guitar. I wore Destroyed All Stars. I burned the CDs and downloaded MP3s. I pretend to be someone else on online forums, etc. So your vibe and aesthetic is super familiar to me. Super familiar. And well, I would like to know which songs take you back to that time, both alone and with Kimi. If you have to suggest a kind of playlist to us, because I Shazammed half of the songs that were played in this documentary, so please tell us more about the music.
There is a playlist on Apple Music, SoundCloud, and Spotify. It's called How to Save It at Friends, and there is the music here in the film. Yeah, oh, it's a difficult question. I cannot like pinpoint just one song that takes me back. Oh God.
One or more.
I would say, yeah, a lot of like songs from Alice in Chains, Nirvana, I don't know, Aerosmith, and maybe like shoegaze bands like
Okay.
Slowdive, like Ride.
And what about Russian bands? Because I Shazammed, oh, the one, I forgot the name of the band playing in the last song. I
It's
love
called
them.
the Slackers.
Yes, them.
Yes.
I was
They
looking
are from
that song.
like recent times, but I really liked their sound and yeah, they were not against being in the film, so yeah, we took two songs of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love them, and I Shazammed both.
Great,
So.
I love them too.
I have a last question, a pretty speculative one. So I'm sorry, but before I leave the mic to other people, I would like to ask you something about this, because the film begins with this sentence that I wrote. When someone says that Russia is only for Russians, I always think bullshit. Everyone knows that Russia is for the depressed, or at least for the realists. Well, while watching, I started to think about something because, as I was saying before, in recent years, both in Russia and in the United States, the two greatest political and ideological powers of the 20th century, there is a serious emergency linked to opioid addiction. So, I'm sorry because this is a speculative question, but in your opinion, is there a connection between the decline of these two empires and the return of drugs that offer an experience of total and nihilistic escapism?
I still think it's all about mental health help and not being easily accessible. And also, like for Russia, I cannot really talk about the US. I'm not really familiar, but in Russia, yeah, so there's a lot of stigmatizing for mental health problems, drug use, and also there's lots of other a lot of other problems,
Yeah.
like I don't know, like LGBTQ plus community now is considered a terrorist organization.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't even. There's a war going on. There's lots of things that affects your mental health. So drugs, it's the easiest way to, to feel a bit better, and alcohol. Yeah.
I was thinking about it because it's curious, these two political powers that now are in this condition. But well, okay. I stop my speculative questions to
There are any questions?
yeah, for other questions, better questions, maybe. Anyone? Uh-huh.
When I'm in the audience, I'm always very shy to ask questions, I have to say.
It's pretty embarrassing. So thank you.
Hello. So this is my second time watching your movie because I think like the first time I saw that was in the Festival dei Popoli, I think 2 years ago. And at that time I asked you a question, and it was like, so this is a movie very personal to you, right? So we can all see that it's a very personal movie, and it took you so many years to make it. And I was wondering if you had interest in doing other movies from that time on, and because it will be a totally different kind of direction, of course, from what you did before. And at that time, you told me that you had already an interest in doing another movie or something like that. And I just wanted to ask if you had like any news, or if you were considering other things, or I don't know, like.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, for some time I wanted to make a film about 𝐾𝐈's brother, Andrusha, because since I was filming a lot of, 𝐾𝐈's family, I had a lot of material with him. And he actually changed his life completely. 8 years ago, he started his new life. He stopped doing drugs, he found a job, he bought himself a car, went to a gym. So yeah, I was thinking maybe it could be, an other, another like film, but I don't know. At some point, I thought that it's not. I couldn't really understand why am I telling his story, and it felt a bit like, yeah, I couldn't understand. So now I'm doing some other project that's more related to my experience. Yeah.
Qualcun altro
Domande?
coraggioso?
O riflessioni?
Osservazioni?
Then you have to say to ask me something.
Tell us something. Siamo qui.
Nessuna domanda.
Ah, ecco, mano.
Thank
Per lui
you.
è già partito. Lo scatto.
It's just a curiosity. In one point, you said when you were in Brooklyn, I desperately wanted to be in Bukovo, or I don't know what is the name of the place where your boyfriend lived in Moscow. Why?
It was difficult being far away from him, and yeah, we had so many years together. Grew up together basically. So yeah, I felt like changing a place was just like an illusion for me. So it was like running away from myself. There's another question.
I'm sorry, I had another question, and I wanted to ask. So your movie, this movie is mainly divided in three kind of narrative languages, right? And which are, one is the archive. I have no idea of how do I have to say it. Archives, archive. Okay, thank you.
Archives, yeah.
And of course the newest footage, that like the footage may be more new that you made, like the funeral or something related. And my question is more on the footage you have on the buildings. And I wanted to ask, like, that's a very creative and original, I think, footage. And I wanted to ask, how did you come up with the idea of that? And if, because, okay, we can maybe understand the meaning behind it, but how did you come up with this kind of language, which create like a new kind of, yes, floating city? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good question. I had this idea that I want to that Zbutova is like hanging in space, and that there is nothing else but, just it. So yeah, it's like a simple mirror effect in the end. We tried some other things, but what really worked for me was just mirroring it. And it's yeah, drone footage shot at night. just some windows from the apartments. It always hypnotized and fascinated me to look at the windows and imagining what kind of life takes place there. So that was the idea behind it.
Hi. So throughout the film, we see bits of politics. We see Medvedev speech, Putin speech, demonstration, clashes. And I wanted to ask you if it's your personal footage or if it's archive, and how did you come up with the idea of including it in the film?
Yeah, we knew like before we started to editing that the story didn't happen in vacuum, that it had time and space, and the idea was to give the feeling of how it was to grow up during that time in Russia of early 2000s. So yeah, I would say like 90% of the footage is mine. Then there's something from the internet, like there's when there's a nationalist throwing stones. This is not my footage, but also the idea was to give the feeling that so basically speaking, there's like people isolated in their apartments, and outside there is violence, there is aggression. So to give this feeling also. And with the New Year, since it's the face that we see every year, it was also a way to, on one hand, show the time goes, and on another hand, to that it stopped because it's the same face except for Medvedev. But we also put him there because people tend to forget that they did this tricky switch. So yeah, it's the same every year at midnight from 31st of December to 1st of January. You turn on the TV, you see the same face saying the same things about nothing. And yeah, the time has stopped in this sense.
And I have a question that come up to mind now. That is, what is the role of internet in the aesthetic of the film? Because it's full of, you know, this. It's like a collage or a time machine to back to the days of first internet aesthetic. And I don't know if there was an intention or a will to you know to give this aesthetic to all the film.
Yeah, there definitely was. Me and Kimi, we met on the forum for grunge music, and I spent a lot of time in the internet when I was a teenager. And yeah, my parents were upset because they couldn't use a phone because it was the internet was through phone. So yeah, we wanted to include this aesthetic in a film. And for example, this sequence about me and Kimi meeting and getting married, yeah, it was inspired by Windows Movie Maker. Yeah, we thought it would be funny, and also we had so much photos, we had to create something out of it. So that was the idea.
Yeah, because this aesthetic like goes throughout all the film, and I think it ends up with the scene we talked about before, where you touch the face of Kimi, the digital face of Kimi, and you try to like you know, modify or I don't know, to make him younger, or I don't know. It's like a beautiful scene, and I think behind that there's like your gaze of in front of that reality, that is a gaze like touching by distance this love, this person, and it's very beautiful how you hand and how do you know decide to show this gaze in that scene.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there was. I had this idea that I want Kimi's videos to turn into music. So I thought, okay, like sounds like I need a sonification program or app. So I went online to see what's up, like with sonification techniques, and I saw this program. It was called Voices. It was just for still images, but I really liked how it sounded. So I contacted the developer, and I told him about the film, and he said that he would love to keep working on the app to develop it more for the film so we could use it for videos. And for me, I like this poetic aspect that, as you said, I'm touching Kimi with my fingers and I'm like making music out of his images. So he's like it's like a musical instrument. And I also thought that, no one knows what happens to us when we die. Maybe we turn into something ephemeral, like music. So I wanted to show this, that for me, Kimi turns into music in a way.
Yeah, I thought we turn into a digital image in a way,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's beautiful. And I have a question also linked to the rhythm of the film, because it has a musical rhythm. There are a lot of songs that turns and returns. And so I want to ask, how did you build, the rhythm of the film? Because it's very difficult to edit a lot of material like that. That it's everyday life and that kind of stuff. That it's plain sometimes. But you like create this voyage, this musical voyage into this Federation of Depression. you know.
That's a great tagline. Musical voyage into Depression of
playlist.
Federation of
I
Depression.
would play it.
I had a wonderful editor, Kotaba Baramji, with whom I really wanted to do this film. And yeah, so the main creative challenge was that there was a lot of different materials shot throughout many, many years with different cameras, different mediums, all look different. And we had to make it work to tell the story and to find the cinematic language. So we decided to try everything to not miss a chance to, I don't know, to not be upset afterwards that we didn't try something. So we experimented with how time goes, how many characters, except for me and Kimi, there is, how much of my character there is, which experimented a lot with my voiceover, and yeah, it was a lot of experimenting, which I like a lot. And another difficulty we had was that it was COVID, and he lives in France, so we had to work through Skype. So he was sharing his screen, and yeah, and we were sitting, watching footage together and discussing. But it was difficult working through Skype. It takes 50% more time, and you get 50% less things done.
Hand raised.
Well,
Hi. I'm actually have three questions. The first one is, what was Kimi's family reaction to the documentary?
So Kimi's brother went to me to Israeli premiere in the festival, and um, he was also he went for the Q&A, and I think the audience was so like shocked to see him, especially after the film where he looks like almost dying, like an old man. And yeah, they had more questions for him than for me, and he really liked the film. And Kimi's mother said that it's too difficult for her to watch the film, and I totally understand and I respect. But actually, recently she started to ask me again if there's gonna be a screening in Russia, and if so, would she would like to go and watch. So uh, maybe she'll watch it soon. Yeah, but of course I'm nervous. I think it's always the case to show your film to the people who are in the film. You're like, oh, what if they don't like it?
Yeah. The second question is about your relationship with Russia, your country, because through the documentary, it's kind of like a negative portrait, but at the same time, there is this like driving force that make you come back. But I don't know if it's the link with the people, like Kimi, or you still have like a strong relationship with Russia, even all the negative things that are happening.
Well, for me, it's always about the people and my family, and yeah, I would say it's always about people for me.
And the last question is pretty personal, so you can totally don't answer to me. I was wondering, so you portrayed yourself like as a very depressed teenager in this self-destruction spiral, but at one point you choose a different life, and at the same time you stay linked to people that keep going to use drugs and be really unhappy with their life. So I was curious to know what happened to you to choose life and create from self-destruction.
Well, I couldn't say that there was one moment when I started loving the life and changed completely the way I looked at it. I think I was, well, comparing to Kimi, I think I was less traumatized than he was, and I was able to get help, professional help, and it was, I think, one of the best decisions I did in my life. It was super helpful. Um, um, yeah, I cannot say that I'm not still struggling, but now I have more control and I understand more about myself and how I see life, and yeah, I try to deal with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Qualcun altro? Sì.
Hi. First of all, thank you for sharing this. Um, I have more of a curiosity than a question. I was very impressed in the beginning because you start the film like explicitly talking about suicide. You say this word suicide, which is quite a taboo, you know. Usually when someone, you know, um, kills himself, you're like, oh, he died. You don't specify exactly what happened. So I was wondering, did you did this like on purpose, or it was spontaneous for you to use this word and explicitly like this, you tell about all these people, you know, in that moment of your life. I think it was very strong, and I'm also curious to know how people reacted to this generally. Like you, I hope you're doing lots of this like Q&As, and yeah, what's people's reaction to this?
I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, there were so many things in my life that I didn't speak before. Really important things like mental health and death of my friends and everything me and Kimi went through. So I felt like I had to tell this story. It was eating me from the inside. I had to tell people how I felt, and maybe it would, help someone who also struggling. Because I think depression uh, is like very isolating illness. I felt very isolated. I felt like no one knows how it is, how I'm feeling, and that no one will ever understand how I felt. And actually, it's after screenings, people tell me that they went through some similar struggles, or now they understand their friends who went through something similar. So it feels like maybe it, like, even if for a bit moment my film helps to break this isolation. So I feel like it's giving something to the audiences. So it feels actually heartwarming to be able to help someone with the film. Yeah, thanks.
I have a question, probably my really last question. And in your film, you were pretty honest in portraying the class differences between you and Kimi, because as you said, you were raised in a posh part of Moscow, not far from Putin, and Kimi was from Butova. Butova, yes. And well, how did you decide to tell this part of the story? Is it important for you? It may be not. And how do you think that class differences had an impact on your different alienations between you and Kimi? I don't know, another speculative question, I'm sorry, but that's it.
That's good. That's a good question. Well, I was feeling that since I'm telling so much about Kimi and his family, I also have to tell about myself and my family too. Unfortunately, there wasn't too many like footage of my family, but I also wanted to show that you know, people get depressed no matter from which family you are, and but also I was able to get help and Kimi weren't. Actually, I had more opportunity to get help, to go to like private psychiatrists and stuff like this. So yeah, there is some difference of getting help, actually. Yeah.
I was curious about it because you were pretty honest. Because I always get angry when people don't recognize their privilege. So, thank you. Mano.
Hi. I was just wondering if, besides this like experience that you had in your teenage period, if you still have the need to use a sort of like device handycam to that can witness kind of your personal life experience, if you still use like something to kind of keep creating a sort of moving images diary as you were used to do, like on your daily routine when you were like a little girl. Nowadays that you are kind of more like mature and kind of aware of, I don't know, who you are.
Yeah, I think I tend to hide less behind the camera now. I don't have this urge to like shield myself and film. I don't use camera as a coping mechanism that I used to do it a lot, but I'm still very into personal art, and yeah, the next film I want to do, it also will be personal, I think. Yeah, if it's the answer to the question.
Thank you.
Someone else?
Examine the eye doctor.
We need to wear sunglasses.
Maybe I need an help to translate. We met in Festival dei Popoli in Florence 1 year ago, and well, what I want to say, I already said to you in Florence. That movie reminds me about Our Nation by Jonathan Cowett, underground movie, really poignant, struggente. Aspetta, ho cercato, scusate.
Very sad.
Yeah, it's really deep, but...
Wait, did you ask me the same question? That's
Poignant. poignant.
Because I
Moved.
think I remember you asked me this question at festival, the Popoli. Yeah.
I have short hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without glasses. It's me.
Yeah.
Me. Stop. The second view in Beltrade, I view a movie really different. I watch. Ho visto molto di più. I am tired. I'm dyslexic. Sorry.
I am also dyslexic, so
Yeah, I
She
saw
watched
more
more.
the movie part, the movie aspect, or not the emotional. Yeah, I cry a lot. The second one, yeah, but I really see your professional in to make this movie. You're really professional to transmit your imaginary, your emotion, your what you feel and what you feeling. Thank you so much. Thank you so much in Florence. Thank you so much in Milan.
thank you for this comment. Yes, I think I remember you asking me about the Tornation in Florence, and I think I told you that I watched it when it came out like 1,000 years ago, and I don't really remember it that much. And I told you that I'm gonna rewatch it, and I haven't. So yes, I don't really remember it. Sorry, I cannot say anything. I think it was very sad, right? Uh-huh. Thank you. Thanks. That was great. Thank you.
Ci sono altre domande? Riflessioni? Altrimenti tu già dai altre domande.
No, io ho fatto tutto,
Hai
figurati,
fatti
tutto lo
tutto.
scibile umano.
Ok.
Basta, finito.
Bene, allora se non ci sono altre domande io tenderei a chiudere, che si è fatta una certa, come si suol
T-shirts.
dire.
The t-shirts.
Questo volevo dirlo anche in italiano. I want to say in Italian that this thing also
It's more
t-shirt.
persuasive in Italian.
Eh,
Sopportate le attività di questa meravigliosa
no,
giovane
esatto.
regista con delle altrettanto meravigliose magliette
T-shirt, sì,
che
magliette.
sono all'ingresso e bella, ci vediamo lì al banchetto tra pochi secondi.
Sì, io farei un altro applauso a Marusia
Sì.
per...
Thank you so much.
Marusia.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching the film with such care. Thanks.
Noi ovviamente vi chiediamo come Cinema Beltrade di passare la parola, far venire gente a vedere questo film che rimane in programmazione domani, che è il Midnight Movie. Tomorrow we will show at midnight your movie. And, basta inglese. Sabato alle 11 del mattino e forse per ora questi due screening e nulla, quindi fate passaparola e
Supportate il Beltrade, veramente, che per me è proprio un atto politico venire il Beltrade nella Milano di oggi. Poi adesso che è Design Week, non so se anche voi provate l'insofferenza che provo io, però insomma, vediamoci qua il Beltrade tipo gruppo di autoaiuto. Insomma.
L'unico cinema rosso di Milano, insomma.
Di nome.
Vabbè. Va bene, quindi niente, grazie per essere venuti tutti quanti e niente, fate passaparola ancora e ci sono le magliette di Mariusa fuori. Grazie Mariusa.
Grazie.